Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We will start now. So please feel free to take the front seat if if you if I can ask your kindness. Please sit in the front so we can have a more intimate discussion later. So please feel free to fill in the front sheet. Sorry, seat, seat, and yeah, we will begin maybe in a 1 minute. Thank you. Yeah. Now, yeah, let's begin. So, again, thank you very much for your kind participation in this side event that co-organized by ASEAN Center for Energy and Sea for All. We will discuss about the ASEAN regional approach in accelerating renewable energy and strengthening the supply chain for advancing the ASEAN power grid. So, just to give you a brief brief overview of our today's discussion. We will start with the intro that I'm doing now and also a short remark from the ASEAN Center for Energy Executive Director that unfortunately cannot join online or here. So we will have a short video remarks from him, and then we will have two scene setting presentation. One is from my colleague Nadila Shani, and the second one is from C for All, Irina, that will join online. And for the rest of the today's session, we will have hopefully more interactive discussion for around 50 until an hour to discuss about the scene setting presentation and other topic about this regional approach on increasing the RE and also strengthening our ASEAN region manufacturing capability and also other important factors like inclusivity also. Now, without further ado, I would like to start with briefly sharing you who will be the speaker today, and I will also briefly introduce them before their session. And now, without further ado, I would like to start by sharing the video remarks from Dr. Nukia Giautama, the Executive Director of the ASEAN Center for Energy. Wait. Okay. Oh, sorry. I think I need to share also the sound. Share sound. Okay.
Good morning to all distinguished speakers, esteemed participants, and excellencies joining us in attendance and virtually via online platform. Apologize that I couldn't join physically in Bangkok today. Allow me to offer all the distinguished speakers, esteemed participants, and excellencies the warmest of welcome to the ASEAN Sustainability for All side event at the third Asian and Pacific Energy Forum. On behalf of ASEAN Center for Energy, I would like to relay my gratitude for all of your attendance, especially for the speakers, a meaningful contribution in supporting the smooth operation of this event. Lastly, my deep appreciation goes to the organizers whose work with us together for this momentous occasion. One of the most crucial aspects of the contemporary global context, which ASEAN must be well prepared to face, is the multifaceted energy issues. The risk of instability stemming from the unavailability of energy sources is pushing the region to rethink and reorient its strategy for energy security. ASEAN has been a net oil importer since before 2005. Furthermore, the diverse economic and societal backdrops that characterize the ASEAN member states and their people also assert the importance of prioritizing energy affordability as one of the prime concerns within the sectors. In addition, the climate-associated perils from carbon-intensive fuels and the increasing need to diversify our energy mix propel us to ramp up our renewable energy capacity. Increasing renewable energy integration can address this issue, especially if the region need to increase the variable renewable energy in its power sectors. The increased use of gas, primarily replacing domestic oil, has had a positive environmental benefit within the ASEAN region, but has also raised some risks associated with energy supply security. The ASEAN Energy Outlook 7 estimates that the region could be a net importer of gas as soon as 2025 and be a net importer of coal starting at 2039. On the other side, by 2021, the renewable energy share in ASEAN has reached 33.6% of the total installed capacity, which is remarkably on track for the APEC target of 35% by 2025. Despite this achievement, ASEAN Energy Outlook 7 also found that renewable energy share in total primary energy supply, or TPS, showed a risk of falling behind the 23% of APEC target, with only achieving 14.4% of RE in share of the whole TPS by 2020. Noting these circumstances, there needs to be concerted action by the member state and relevant stakeholders to ramp up the RE share in a particular sectors and encompass all aspects. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, distinguished speakers, departing from those challenges but also opportunities presented to the ASEAN region, this platform, through its topic, connects the links between accelerating RE and strengthening the supply chain within the ASEAN power grid, or in short, we call it APG. APG has successfully implemented its multilateral electricity interconnection with the flagship project of the Lao PDR Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore Power Integration Project. As of 2020, 30.2 gigawatt hour of electricity was traded under the setting of LTMS BIP Phase 1 and LTMS BIP Phase 1 and 2. And furthermore, the project also recorded 100 megawatt hydropower energy import from Lao PDR to Singapore via the existing grid connection. These numbers and achievements signal a vast potential for the opportunities provided to ramp up RE capacity in the region. I believe this event served a pivotal momentum for us all to mutually share the knowledge that we are well equipped with to bolster RE share in the region to advance the ASEAN power grid. And aside from this, we need to also think about how the ASEAN power grid can facilitate higher RE penetration and a stronger RE supply chain, which will be successfully achieved. To end the remark, once again, let me convey my deepest gratitude to all excellencies, distinguished speakers, and esteemed participants for your time and contribution. And also would like to thank our partners, C4All and UNSCAP Energy Division, for making these opportunities happen. I wish each of you in a good health and successful endeavors going forwards. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Panuki, for allocating your time to give the remarks. And now, without further ado, I would like to first invite our first speaker from the ASEAN Center for Energy, Nadila Shani, the Senior Research Analyst of the Power and Fossil and Fuel Department. She has more than 7 years of experience in advocating energy policy in Southeast Asia with the focus on Indonesia. And she started her career in the solar company and also has been working with ACE. And she has many experience in the assisting energy transition in the demand sector, strengthening the utility capacity, in particular PLN, to enhance RE procurement options for the industrial sector. Before ACE, she works as a policy analyst under UK Monetary Program, providing support for long-term electricity planning, net zero emission, and energy transition strategy for the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources of Indonesia. So without further ado, I would like to share first the presentation of Shani, and yeah, welcome her to take over the mic. Thank you.
Thank you for Monica for very kind introductions. So today I'd like to share and presentations just to bring a context of the discussions that we will have today. So basically in my presentations, I will keep it short, but I will give you some points to highlight that we will discuss, especially about the renewable energy progress in the regions and why we should take up our efforts and how can we brainstorm later on how to bring this forward. Next slide, please. So yeah, just mentioned by our director previously that ASEAN right now under the ASEAN cooperations that is support to implement, we have what we call as ASEAN Plan of Action for Energy Cooperations, or we call it APAEC, as the guiding documents to support the energy cooperations in the regions. And part of the program areas that we are focusing on is also about renewable energy. And the renewable energy itself, we have the region has the aspirational aspirational target to reach 23% of RE in the total primary energy supply by 2025. And here I'm showing you the graph of the projections that we have under the ASEAN Energy Outlook, that the current status that we are now and what we are aiming to achieve in 2025. So we are currently we have 14.4% renewable energy share in the energy supply by 2021, and I believe that in 2022 we have increased it a bit. But just to showing you, apart from the energy supply, under the installed capacity in the power sector, we are now reaching 33.6% of renewable energy shares. And it's the questions of is it enough, or how to take it to actually achieve the target that is only 2 years from now, to have 23% by 2025. Next slide, please. Yeah, and just to show you a bit deeper on how the mix or the compositions of the energy, renewable energy in ASEAN. So this is based on the projections as well from ASEAN Energy Outlook. We can see both the projections from power generations as well as installed capacity, and we know from this graph that currently the one that is dominating renewable is hydropower, and we have made quite significant progress on solar in the recent years, particularly for several countries like Vietnam, but we are still lagging, or still need to put a lot of effort in increasing the wind and the other resources like biomass and biogas. And we see that this is the projections that we are aiming for if we want to reach the target or extend the higher renewable energy shares in the regions in the future. Next slide, please. And then I just want to mention and highlight that actually in each of the country in the regions has set some of the national target of how they want to reach renewable energy in their country. And apart from the aspirational regional target, each country has put also at least a target and efforts to increase the renewable energy share in each country. So in this slide, you can see that there are various targets from the member states, from Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, up to Vietnam, of how they want to have renewable energy capacity or target. And it's what I want to highlight here is each country has different priorities of what kind of renewable energy that they want to put, because considering the different resources as well that they have. And then if we are looking and connecting it to the power sector, because I think the most growing renewable energy utilizations is under the power sector, we need to also take into account how the electricity market or the electricity landscape in the ASEAN, and how different is that between each countries, that actually provide the support or the platform for renewable energy to be utilized. So I think this is something that we need to also learn from each other. There are some of the countries that has made quite progress more than the other, and I think there are influencing factor of how these countries can excel is a lesson learned that can be adopted to some extent in the other country landscape. Next slide. Yeah. So apart from the renewable energy in general, in the power sector, in ASEAN, we have what we call as ASEAN Power Grid. And under this ASEAN Power Grid, we have the ASEAN Interconnection Master Plan Study. So basically, this is the technical documents for guiding the ASEAN Power Grid implementations. And in this study, we have the projections, or we identify how big the variable renewable energy that we can use for the regions through the ASEAN Power Grid. So here, the left graph showing you the different scenarios of how the renewable energy can be utilized under the ASEAN Power Grid based on different scenarios. And the yellow line represents the scenarios when we are achieving the ASEAN renewable energy target by 2025. It means that from 23% target from energy supply, if we want to achieve that, it translates to 44% of renewable energy shares in the power sector. And I just want to bring your attentions to the 2025 levels here. We did an updated model. So in the past 2 years, a lot of ASEAN countries has put or pledge a new renewable energy target under their national PDP, Power Development Plan. So we want to capture that and see whether the current renewable energy target that they put in the power sector looks like if we are aggregating it as a region. So it turns out that for the updated PDP scenarios, we are not too far off from our target to reach. So if all the countries implement their policy that is or target that is already pledged in the all the countries now, we can reach up to 39% of renewable energy shares by 2025. And I think I just want to highlight that this is a really good progress in terms of ambition. So we see a lot of higher ambitions from the renewable energy to use in each country level, but the question is how to actually implement it into reality. Next slide, please. And if we are talking about the renewable energy, we cannot diverge from the fact that to lower down the cost of renewable energy in the regions and to actually implement and utilize more renewable supply chains is important. So in the regions, we need to have the capacity, domestic capacity to produce this renewable energy components if we want to drive down the cost of renewable energy. And here is showing you what are the critical mineral needs that for the clean energy technologies for different renewable energy sources, and how actually the ASEAN plays in utilizing this kind of minerals to produce domestic supply chain. And we know that several ASEAN countries like Malaysia, Vietnam are also big solar manufacturing, has big solar manufacturing capacity. And I think there are a lot of lessons learned to move this forward, even for these countries and all the other countries to also start to grow their manufacturing capacity for renewable energy. Yeah. And apart from the supply chain, what's the important thing to highlight as well? The need to grow the renewable energy workforce. So apart from if we want to put more renewable energy in the power grid or in the other sector, we really need the workforce to install, to manufacture, to operate this renewable energy. And this is the projections from the the second IRENA renewable energy outlook that is also supported in this in projecting how big actually the jobs that could be created from different renewable energy utilizations, and how much is the employment that could be created for different renewables, but also in a country levels perspective. So we can see here in the graph from Indonesia, Malaysia, and other countries as well, how big actually the impact of the if we can put more renewables, then how big is the a job could be created and will give economic impact to the country and the region in general. Next slide, please. So just to end with a sort of like concluding slide to guide our discussions today, there are a lot of things that we need to do if we want to achieve our target in 2025, which is not so far from now. But there are some key actions or steps that we could look into and implement. First is in the short term, permitting, approval, licensing for renewable energy projects is important. The second thing is how to attract financing, because there are a lot of financing opportunities, but how to realize that financing into to finance the projects on the grounds is complicated. So we need to make efforts on how to make supporting policies to enable these kinds of investment, and public-private partnership is one of the area that we could look into for alternative financing for renewable energy. It's also we need to facilitate technology transfers and capacity building to accelerate the deployment of renewable energy technologies. And also, if we have better interconnectivity, we have a lot of experiences in the past that we can utilize more renewables from different regions that has more if we have this interconnection. So interconnections is important if the regions want to utilize more renewable in the future. So in the longer term, it's important that ASEAN needs to think of a long-term renewable energy target, because the target that we have, the aspirational one, is up to 2025. So we need to discuss and put more target in the longer term so that it can guide us to build actions or milestones that we want to achieve in the longer term. Uh, like Also in the longer term, it's important to enhance the regional grid infrastructure, because this is the key if we want to utilize huge RE in the regions in the longer term, and for ensuring that we are taking steps to initiate renewable R&D and start to build up the manufacturing capacity in our regions, so that we could lower the renewable energy costs in the future. So I'll end my slides there, and looking forward to have discussions with you all this morning. Thank you, Monica.
Thank you, Shani, for interesting presentation. I took a really special note that indeed important for the regional energy cooperation for RE, higher RE share, especially to improve the energy connectivity, because it is not about reaching the target. It is a long-term investment, I believe. So, but yeah, let's discuss more. And I see a lot of questions from the audience already, but let's keep it for the discussion session. We still have another scene setting presentation from my colleague, Irina Lazzarini, that is joining online from Europe, which is very early morning there. Thank you for joining. So I will start by sharing the screen first. This one. Sorry. Okay, sorry. So yeah, without further ado, the screen is yours. Thank you, Irina. Sorry, I should introduce you briefly. It is not fair. So briefly, Irina is the principal specialist of the Clean Energy Sea for All. She is responsible for building the organization's presence in the Asia Pacific, managing 24/7 carbon-free energy compact and the development of the Southeast Asia Renewable Manufacturing Initiative. Before joining Sea for All, she was the senior sustainable energy expert at the Energy Community Secretariats of the European Green Deal Unit, where she supported the contracting parties in developing sustainable energy policy, climate legislation, and integrating energy and climate planning. She was leading the Just Energy Transition Initiative of the Secretariat, in particularly supporting coal regions and gender equality. She has 17 years of work and research experience in the field of international climate mitigation policies for multiple countries in Europe and Asia. And yeah, without further ado, the screen is yours. Thank you, Irina.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Monica. And thank you, everyone. We are happy to be here as Sustainable Energy for All and to jointly organize this workshop in Thailand. So many thanks for this opportunity. I think we can go to the next slide. So this is just an intro slide on SE for All. What are we doing in the different countries? What kind of support we are providing to our partners? And also focus on the Renewable Energy Manufacturing Initiative. That is an overall initiative launched in January 2023 with a strong focus on African and working with a number of different partners. The spin-off of this initiative is a foundational research that is focusing on renewable energy manufacturing in Southeast Asia, looking at investments and action needed to really scale up what we discussed in the previous presentation, so the renewable energy manufacturing capabilities. And for this piece, we are working with a number of excellent partners, Asian Development Bank, Climate Works Foundation, and Bloomberg Philanthropies. And we also publish one of the... Can you hear me?
Yeah, now can.
Okay, I think I
Yeah.
was muted by someone. So one of the key outcomes that I was saying is the report Renewable Energy Manufacturing Opportunities for Southeast Asia that was published in August 2023. We presented that in Jakarta at the side event of the ASEAN Finance Ministers meeting together with our partners. You can go to the next slide. Yeah, as I said, Asian Development Bank, Bloomberg Philanthropies, and Climate Works Foundation that we are very happy to have with us today in the panel discussion later. Just a quick note that that publication is out there since August, so feel free to have a look at our website, sustainableenergyforall.org, to download it. It's free, of course, and you can find it also on the website of all our partners. Next slide, please. Yes, and we can now dig a little bit deeper into the discussion. And I would like to start to giving you a market perspective of the work that we have been doing on our foundational research with our partners. So as you can see from the slide, there is currently an estimated 90 billion to 100 billion US dollars revenue opportunity in Southeast Asia low carbon mobility, and also in the clean power segments by 2030. Southeast Asia is very well positioned to meet the demand for manufactured inputs into these sectors. It's producing 9 to 10% of the world's solar photovoltaic, both cells and modules, approximately 50% of global nickel output, and 6 to 10% of all electric two-wheelers today. It has also natural advantages to support the scale up of production. We are talking about 16 terawatt of technical solar potential, 25% and 10% of global nickel and cobalt reserves, respectively, and 25% of the global two-wheeler market. So building local renewable energy manufacturing capacity, as we heard before, it's very important and definitely would reduce the amount of energy sourced from fossil fuels, lowering future carbon emissions in the region, but also driving employment, growth, and exports. So ASEAN is very well positioned with a growing domestic renewable energy market, but also a base of technical capabilities and a track record of attracting manufacturing investments. Nevertheless, we believe that intra-regional collaboration between governments, the private sector, and multilateral organizations is definitely needed to realize all these benefits and to realize it in the short, medium term, of course, and to ensure that the region secures its place as a global center of gravity for renewable energy manufacturing. Next slide, please. So in this slide, I would like to stay a little bit longer on this slide. These are the three areas that are the focus of our research: the solar PV sectors, battery, as well as electric two-wheeler. So let's look at solar PV first, because manufacturing capacity in Southeast Asia there is largely concentrated in cells, about 55 gigawatts, and modules, as you can see in the slide, 70 gigawatt, with the potential to achieve an aspirational 125 to 150 gigawatts module capacity by 2030. So there are three broad archetypes of producer countries in the region right now. We can talk about established global and domestic suppliers like Vietnam, Malaysia, and Thailand that have large production capacity and supply both for domestic and a significant share of the global demand. We have export-focused markets like Cambodia, which has approximately 7 gigawatt of solar PV module production capacity, of which nearly all production is exported to the US. And then we have domestic-led markets. Like a key regional example here is Indonesia, which has a sizable number of small-scale module assembly companies which are serving local demand to fulfill the targets and local products. So manufacturers that we have been interviewing for our foundational research mentioned that to develop a robust demand market, stakeholders will need to ensure a number of drivers and to make sure that they are in place, actually. So the first would be to have parity of greenfield levelized cost of energy. The second one is to have obviously a supportive and strong regulatory environment in place. The third is to have mitigation of the developer risk. The fourth is the availability of grid infrastructure, and then of course a sufficient grid flexibility and storage. If we look into the next part of this slide, so battery manufacturing. So when it comes to the demand for batteries in Southeast Asia, this is primarily driven by two segments. One is electric vehicle batteries. One is battery energy storage system, also called BESS. So in some countries like Indonesia, Thailand, and Vietnam, the growth of electric vehicles is the main driver of battery demand. Opposite to that, demand is primarily driven by BESS in countries like Malaysia and the Philippines, which offer more competitive levelized cost of energy. In general, as we know, Southeast Asia is very rich in critical mineral resources. We saw in the slide before that the region accounts for 25% and 10% of global nickel and cobalt reserves, respectively. And there are a number of downstream players already, including local and global cathode and cell manufacturers that have expressed clearly the interest in establishing production facilities in the region. And just to give some examples, we have VinS in Vietnam, LG, Cattle, Seed, and POSCO in Indonesia, Hive in Malaysia, Dura Power, Energy Absolute, and Gotion in Thailand. But for the region to really establish itself as a regional and global export hub, producing potentially above 150 gigawatt hours of battery cells by 2030, we also need to unlock critical success factors to facilitate partnership, create an end-to-end battery ecosystem. And as we said before, also to introduce policies to encourage demand, investments, developing target educational plan to close the labor productivity gap. And this is also connecting to the former presentation. So the importance of skilled people, skilled workers for these kind of jobs. And then in the last part, you can see that we are focusing on electric two-wheelers. The electric two-wheelers manufacturing value chain comprise of two main segments, the component manufacturing and vehicle assembly. And the assembly capacity for electric two-wheelers right now in Southeast Asia is about 1.4, 1.6 million units per annum, but there is a potential to reach 4 million units by 2030. When it comes to country archetypes, we identify three archetypes of manufacturers in the region. We can talk about startups and regional firms. KZITS in Indonesia is a good example, Deco in Thailand, Pega in Vietnam. But we also have regional enterprises like VinFast in Vietnam that have undertaken the production of electric two-wheelers. We then have global electric two-wheelers OEM, like Chinese OEMs that have established themselves in Southeast Asia. And then we have internal combustion engine two-wheeler incumbents like Honda and Yamaha that are dominating the two-wheeler market in Southeast Asia. They are currently have a limited footprint as well in the manufacturing of electric two-wheelers. The interesting thing is that governments in the region have announced very ambitious targets for electrification for the coming years, with the potential to create a significant upside in demand beyond 2030. So for instance, when it comes to Vietnam, it's projected to realize 50% of electric two-wheeler penetration by 2030 and to achieve 100% electric two-wheeler sales by 2040, so only 10 years later. But here as well, there are several key factors that need to be put in place to unlock all these potentials. There is a need of adequate charging infrastructure. There is a need of supportive demand and supply side policies. and also to have products that meet customer preferences, which may be different in each country of the Southeast Asian region. Next slide, please. And here we wanted to put the focus on the importance of ASEAN and of intra-regional collaboration. This is really the key. Southeast Asia can build on a strong history of regional collaboration to meet its net zero targets. And we have seen that targets for renewables are also very ambitious, and there is a lot that collectively can be done from 2023 to 2025. It's only 2 years to go. For example, production factors could benefit from trade across the value chain and regional efforts to really improve workforce quality and distribution. Demand markets could be supported by the build out of the ASEAN power grid, as we heard before, which would enable higher renewables deployment through multilateral power trade and also expand the grid balancing areas. And then, of course, government to government, but also government to business partnerships can facilitate higher build out of solar PV capacity by connecting Southeast Asian countries with lower renewable potentials to those with abundant supply. And here, one example is Singapore signing agreements with 4 neighboring countries like Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, and Malaysia to support its own targets to import up to 4 gigawatt of low carbon electricity from the region by 2035. And that one important element that it's key when it comes to intra-regional collaboration is harmonization of regulation, but also of technical standards. And here, very important also for the electric two-wheeler vehicles and charging station that could enable OEMs to develop products following needs across the market. Next slide, please. And here we want to go to a call for joint action, because of course, actions to realize the region's full potential in renewable energy manufacturing are not only for governments or only for ASEAN institutions alone. We would like to invite all the interested policymakers, industry, and ecosystem players to join our dialogue with ASEAN, with ASEAN, with all our partners, and to jointly scale up these efforts in Southeast Asia and for Southeast Asia. We believe that concerted efforts are really required across policy, but also financing, investment, technical spheres. Such an ecosystem approach might usefully target a few areas of cross-cutting priority. For example, as you can see here, convening and attract collaboration from global players, supporting government-to-government partnership, but as I said before, also government-to-business partnership. Investments are key, so galvanizing private sector investments and financial sector assistance to really support scale up the manufacturing, because very often you have small companies that need support to scale up, but they are investing massively in R&D. Policy advisory targeted at improving the ease of doing business. This is a key priority, and also relevant industry players. And then, as it was mentioned also in the former presentation, there is need to support building a pipeline of sufficiently skilled workforce by really leveraging the capacity of governments, but also university, research institutions, global technical experts, and industry players. And last but not least, this is fundamental, support to improve environment, social government standards, ESG standards, including developing standardized framework for ESG reporting. And this has been mentioned by a large number of manufacturers that we have been interviewing across our research. And I would like to close here, next slide, and it's just a closing slide from my side. I would like to invite you to have a look at our report, download it. I think it's quite interesting, and we are happy to discuss further with you in the coming discussion in the panel. Please feel free to reach out. And yes, thank you again for the opportunity to present here today. And I would like to give the floor back to Monica. Monica, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Irina. Interesting point of view from the first presentation and second presentation. If I have to summarize it quickly, first presentation has highlighted the potential of the RE resources that ASEAN has and how it can be interconnected through the ASEAN power grid. The second presentation also highlighted the important aspects like the manufacturing capability that ASEAN has so far with their experience accumulated until now, the critical mineral resources, and also the human capacity that has been developed so far with the solar manufacturing, battery, and also EV, and how we can scale it up through the investment, better investment, the mechanism to finance all these new initiatives to better trade connection, and also to yeah. Anyway, we have a new we will have a discussion session now. I know you have questions, but please keep it now. Keep it first because we will have another discussion session where we will pull in all the questions from the floor here and also from the audience online, where I see kind of good participation with around 50 plus or 55 plus online participation. And I would like to start by inviting our panelists. First, we will have the company or government slash government representation from Indonesia with Pak Darsono, and also we'll have the government representation from Malaysia and also Thailand, and also our colleagues from the C4All and also Shani. And just to let you know, Irina is still in the early morning there, so it has been a great, it's hard work for her to really stay up late or not sleeping or waking up very early. So Irina, if whenever you are, I mean, at your convenience, please feel free to drop off from the call and have a nice rest. And yeah, let's carry on with the next session about the discussion. First, I would like to invite Pak Darsono. Yeah, Pak Darsono, let me pin it. Yeah, he is Pak Darsono. Yeah, it doesn't show. Anyway, so I would like to briefly introduce Pak Darsono. Pak Darsono is the founder and chief executive officer of the PT Rimba Makmur Utama, an Indonesia-based company that manage Katingan Mentaya project, the world's largest nature-based solution project in terms of carbon emission reduction, producing more than 7 million tons of carbon credits annually. The company is based on the promise to save large areas of peatland swamp forests, offering local communities in 35 villages sustainable sources of income and help combat the climate change, and offer a solid business model for them to be independent. And Pak Darsono had previously worked for multinational giants consultant like PricewaterhouseCoopers and JP Morgan. And in 2023, which is this year, he holds a position as the head of Permanent Committee on Climate Change of Indonesia Chamber of Commerce and as the program leader of the ASEAN Business Advisory Council Carbon Center of Excellence Legacy Project, also the program leader of ASEAN Business ASEAN Council Net Zero Hub Legacy Project. So without further ado, Pa, I would like to start by sharing your presentation, the short remark presentation. And yeah, sorry. Yeah, the screen is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Darsono Hartono. Thank you, ASEAN Center for Energy, for inviting me, and I'll be happy to walk you through the overview of Kadin, which is our Indonesia Chamber of Commerce flagship sustainability initiative. I am the chairman of a Kadin Net Zero Hub and Carbon Center of Excellence, just like Monica mentioned earlier. Next, please. So today we're going to talk about three things, right? Just about overall what Kadin Indonesia is all about, what is the initiative that we are working on, and now I can share the team that work on it. Next. So Kadin Indonesia, or Indonesia Chamber of Commerce, is actually established by law in 1968, and further by 1987. So basically, it's the only chamber in Indonesia that work closely with the government in terms of producing policy, consulting with the private sectors in terms of how private sectors and government can work together. Of the things that we worked on, there are two priority programs that we focus on. First is the Kadin Center of Excellence, and the second is Kadin Net Zero Hub. The reason, because we see that the journey of decarbonization is a must for a country like Indonesia, and it's a must for other countries in ASEAN, particularly because the issue of climate change is real. Next, please. So based on this, we actually have played an instrumental role in delivering Global Spotlight Indonesia. As you're probably aware of, last year, Indonesia actually chaired the B20 presidency in Bali. And there we actually have managed to put out 4 legacy program, 25 recommendation and policy action. And this year, furthermore, we are actually chairing ASEAN. And with the ASEAN Leadership of Business Advisory Council chairmanship, we actually managed to further 4 legacy program become 8, few policy recommendation, policy action as you see in this slide. So next, I want to talk about the initiative of what the sustainability. So as I mentioned earlier, basically, Kadin is redoubling its effort to support Indonesia in achieving net zero by 2060 or sooner. So if you look at how this Kadin Net Zero Hub was formed, it was formed in COP26 in Glasgow, where we believe that we need to help company in Indonesia, particularly to decarbonize and help them to go through this journey. And as I mentioned, B20, another event that we launched, and that's why we launched our ASEAN Carbon Center of Excellence. And then this year, actually, we are launching, the ASEAN Alliance on Carbon Market and the Kadin also as a ASEAN Net Zero Hub. So I think the idea is to work together in this region to see not only from how we can decarbonize, but also we can work together to provide a solution of carbon credit for the region. So there are 4 programs that we have mentioned. First is Kadin Net Zero Hub, where we also are integrating into ASEAN Net Zero Hub. The ASEAN Alliance on Carbon Market is recently launched during our leadership summit. Is another effort that we try to do. But next, I want to talk about more on the Net Zero Hub journey that we have. So I think the idea is to help company, particularly the micro, medium, small enterprises to decarbonize, because we realize the reality is, it will make the company not only do the right thing, but more importantly, more competitive in the global competition. So we have 70 companies have joined this initiative. So we do as little as just calculating the carbon footprint, basically working based on a international recognized protocol such as SBTi or greenhouse gases protocol. We have do all this training, because I think the challenge in this side of the region is people like to be net zero, but they don't know how. So we are basically embracing this opportunity and work together with the company to do such things. The other program that I mentioned next is the Carbon Center of Excellence, where we will promote solutions against climate change issue through collaboration for the development of carbon market in Indonesia and in the region. So with this, we actually launched the ASEAN Alliance on Carbon Market. It's the first private sector-led body in the region to advocate for cross-border carbon market development. The idea is we can work together to create a framework where we all agree what high quality, high integrity carbon project, and we will be able to actually work in the region where a country like Singapore will be able to buy credit from Indonesia and other countries as well. Hence, we can learn together and claim the carbon neutrality for our product in the future. I think just sort of like what we have. I'd be happy to share, and we can discuss further what we do. The next slide will be basically an overview of who we are, our team members. So we have our chairman, we have basically Bushinta and Paanin sitting in our steering committee. I myself chair the Kadin Net Zero Hub, and we have a few colleagues that are also helping me. So with that, I'll be happy to have further discussion later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak Darsono, for the sharing on the initiative that Kadin and Indonesia in general has initiated for the net zero and consolidating the efforts from the companies. And yeah, really look forward for more details for our discussion later. quickly, I would like to invite our next panelist from Malaysia. So we have Mr. Muhammad Ifwan bin Muhammad Rais. He is the Assistant Director at Industrial Planning and Development Department of Energy Commission Malaysia. He formulates government programs and monitor their implementation progress. Specifically, he oversees programs like Corporate Green Power Program, New Enhanced Dispatch Arrangement, net energy metering, and cross-border electricity sales. And he is also has been with Energy Commission since 2012, working on many initiatives like the capacity planning, market operation, and renewable energy procurement. And yeah, without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Ifwan to share your view on short remarks on Malaysia. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Miss Monica, for the kind introduction. So first of all, I would like to thank for the to ACE and Sustainable Energy for All, isn't it? So for the opportunity for Malaysia to participate in this Asia Pacific Energy Forum side event. So I'm gonna talk about my Malaysia RE transition pathway. So we will talk about the 12th Malaysian Plan, the overview of Malaysia electricity supply demand, and the recent launch our National Energy Transition Roadmap, and the future interconnection or the status of our interconnection within the ASEAN country. So can we go to the next slide? Okay, this is the 12th Malaysian Plan. It's spanning from 2021 to 2025, and then it shows Malaysia commitment in order to achieve our carbon neutral or net zero by 2050. In the plan, it outlined the long-term strategies, support the national aspirations, and also it set a target of 31% of Malaysia total energy capacity with RE, by 2025. That translates about 7 gigawatt of RE in the system. So, and then one of our commitment is that we won't build any new coal power plant. So in the future, so meaning that by 2050 there will be 0 coal power plant in our system. Can you go to the next slide? So this is Malaysia. So basically there are 3 regions big region in Malaysia, which is Peninsular Malaysia, Sabah, and Sarawak. And this is a snapshot data taken on 2022 last year. So each of these region poses a unique characteristics. So as you can see that for Peninsular Malaysia, our base load is coming from gas and coal. And for Sabah, they are heavily rely on gas, but for Sarawak it's a bit different. So they are heavily reliant with hydro. So it's a unique characteristic of these 3 regions. The installed capacity for Peninsula is about 27,000. The dependable capacity for Sabah is 1,002, and the installed capacity for Sarawak is 5,000 plus. So can we go to the next slide? So as I mentioned earlier, that the government of Malaysia have launched the National Energy Transition Roadmap. It was launched 2 days before our Independence Day, 31st August. So by our Prime Minister, Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim. So the objective is to grow responsibly in this energy transitions. And there are 6 focus areas of this roadmap. Basically, it focuses on, or we call it as the levels. So we focus on EE, energy efficiency, renewable energy, hydrogen, bioenergy, green mobility, and carbon capture. So this roadmap detail out the initiative to scale our RE to 70% by 2050. That translates about 57 gigawatt of RE, about almost more than double than what our installed capacity right now. So the The roadmap also detail out the renewable energy capacity, readiness, and energy storage that will be developed to cater because of our nature rely on the natural gas, and then to cater for the intermittent issue of renewable energy. As Malaysia is supposed, I mean, having abundance of solar and for our RE. So Malaysia also is to explore another non-carbon energy sources that include our RE import through our regional interconnection, and also Malaysia is to allow the cross-border RE trading. And for your information, last time it was banned. Malaysia banned RE export to the neighboring country, but this year with the recent government, they have lifted the ban. So, but then not in the slide, but there are job creation with this matter. We are foresee that the job creation is huge, about 310,000 job creation in green industry, and this will definitely spur our investment opportunity. Next slide, please. Okay, this is the future interconnection status. With the spirit to achieve the ASEAN vision of ASEAN power grids. So Malaysia have collaborated with other ASEAN countries to strengthen the APG. So with the intention to connect the north, the south, and the east regions. So as you can see, there are 3 utilities for Malaysia. So TNB is on the left side, Sarawak Energy is in the middle, and Sabah is the utility is SCSB. So So 6 MOU have been signed with for TNB. 6 MOU have been signed with their utility from Thailand, Vietnam, and Laos. And 1 feasibility study have been completed with IGAT in this year, and 2 feasibility study is planned with utility in Indonesia and Singapore. For Sarawak, they have signed the power exchange agreement with Sabah. So this is about the interconnection between the 2 states. Sabah and Sarawak. So, and it is for export of energy by 2025. And also Sarawak is in advanced negotiation with Singapore and also their Brunei counterpart. And as for SSB, they are in the feasibility study plan with PLN for the East Kalimantan interconnection. And that's it for my I think we can happy to take any question after this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ifwan, for the sharing on the Malaysia's latest roadmap, the NETR, National Energy Transition Roadmap. Really great document and provide clarity, at least for me, that always researching on Malaysia's and ASEAN. So without further ado, I would like to invite our third panelist, Dr. Yowatira Achawangkul. So he is the chief of the Alternative Energy Monitoring and Evaluation Group of DEDE Thailand. So DEDE is the Department of Alternative Energy Development and Efficiency. He has experiences in alternative and renewable energies, especially biomass to energy. He is also a special lecturer in the academic institutions, for example, like Thammasat University, NIDA, Naresuan University, Mie University in Thailand. And he also has been nominated to be a judge in many energy-related competitions like the Thailand Energy Awards, also ASEAN Energy Awards, a Youth for SDG contest, and he's also our focal points from Thailand for the Renewable Energy Working Group within the ASEAN Energy Cooperation. And he has been hold the similar positions in the international forums, like the member of the UNESCO Expert Working Group on Energy. And yeah, without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Yowatira. So let me, yeah, the mic is yours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Monica, for the introduction, and good day, everyone. Please allow me several minutes to share about the energy policy of Thailand that especially for the renewable energy that I have my responsibility. Next slide, please. So I would like to summarize on the recap of the energy direction of Thailand. That recently, in order to achieve our aspirational target for the carbon neutrality by year 2050, Ministry of Energy are now proceeding the construction of the National Energy Plan, which consists of the 5 master plan. We have the PDP, we have oil plan, we have the alternative energy development plan. We also have the energy efficiency and conservation plan, and last one, the gas plan. And simultaneously, we also proceeding for the associated plan, something like the integration of the grid modernization and smart grid plan and the promotion of electric vehicle, as well as to deregulate and unlock for the area-based clean energy purchasing. And last one, we also emphasize on the development of the CCUS in order to reduce the greenhouse gas emission to the atmosphere. Next slide, please. I would like to summarize about the important key important for the Thailand National Energy Plan. First one, in order to achieve our carbon neutrality and net zero carbon emission, we hope to increase the share of renewable energy at least 50% by year 2040 in the installed power capacity. And we also try to promote the use of electric vehicle by year 2030. We set target for at least 30% of EV should be increased by year 2030. We also emphasize for the activity corresponding to the energy efficiency and conservation that we hope to increase the E&C activity at least 30% or probably 40% by applying the modern technology and innovation in order to manage the energy activity. And last one, we are now faced with the energy transition era. Therefore, we have set the policy direction we call it 4E and 1E in order to cope the energy transition which we now facing. And could you please go to the next slide, please? Okay, I would like to explain about the main idea of the 4E and 1E energy policy. The first digitalization is to modernize the grid to be more clever and more intelligent. We call it smart grid, or by the supporting of the energy storage system in order to increase the stability of the energy we put it into the grid, especially for the VRE technology. And for decentralization, we hope to distribute the energy generation unit into the area. For example, we have the plan called the community power plant that we hope to allow the community to have the opportunity to generate renewable energy for power and sell to the government side. And for the decarbonization, we hope to promote the to use the clean resources to generate electricity, and we hope to absorb the agricultural product by using as the alternative fuel for power generation as well as the thermal generation. And for the deregulation, for this policy, we hope to debarrier or to terminate some of the law and regulation which will be the obstacle to develop the renewable energy and the other kind of energy. And last one, for the electrification, this policy we emphasize on the use of the electric vehicle and its facility like the charging station too. Okay, I don't want to disturb your time, therefore I think I should finish my summary on the energy policy direction. Okay, thank you, and back to you, Monica.
Thank you, Dr. Yowatira. So again, thank you very much. We now know how it is in Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand. And I will not stop here because I would like to invite our next panelist. He is Mr. Shun Sorry if I he is my close friend, but I still mistakenly spell your name. So he is the Associate Director of the Southeast Asia for the Global Energy Transition Initiative. And Shun has over 12 years of experience in renewable energy in Asia, and he is from Myanmar and has dedicated his career to promoting sustainable energy solutions that can positively impact the communities and also economies. He has educational background in energy and environmental management and has worked across various sectors, including private, public, and non-profit. And Shun has worked extensively with many stakeholders across ASEAN region, including government and also NGOs and private companies. And Shun also has worked in many well-known organizations like International Rescue, ASEAN Center for Energy, and also WWF before the Climate Works. So without further ado, I would like to invite you to provide a short remark on how your envision ASEAN cooperation. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Monica. Hello, everybody. My name is Sean. Unlike a few colleagues before, I am not representing a government, but what I'm representing is a philanthropy foundation. And what's the role of philanthropy in the energy transition and climate mitigation? So basically, Climate Works actually works on the climate mitigation, where we work for energy transition, coal phase out across ASEAN. So our current focus is in Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, and also Cambodia. So why those countries? Philanthropy is actually focused on this country because of two reasons. So the first one actually being the size of economy and also the threat of coals in each nation. So which is why we want to promote more energy transition. And the other point I will touch more in the next discussion, which is about opportunities in this region. Sometimes we forgot ASEAN collectively actually have a lot of opportunities, but sometimes as also collectively, we haven't grabbed them yet, especially in renewable energy manufacturing sector, which Irina actually briefly discussed in the high level. So I will also go more into details in the next question. So the second part is about energy transition. So why energy transition? Maybe the first point is there are numerous investment opportunities and also there are a lot of enabling conditions across many countries. So not naming specific countries, some countries actually have a better enabling conditions. Meanwhile, a few countries in ASEAN still needs to work on where our regulations are, national policy, the targets, and also the alignment of various goals actually has to be still work there. So thank you for giving ASEAN Center for Energy for giving us an opportunity to talk about what the target should be and what could be our recommendations. But I think I'll stop here as a brief remark. Thank you, Monica.
Yeah. Thank you, Shun, for the short remark. And I would like to introduce my other colleague here to represent C4All because Irina cannot join now. But she is remarkable figure. Uh, she is beside me, Jitsai Santaputra, the co-founder of the Youth for Energy Southeast Asia and SDG 7 Global Youth Ambassador for Southeast Asia or for C4All. She is sorry. So yeah, her work has been advocating the importance of the access to clean and affordable energy and the inclusion of women, youth, and vulnerable groups in decision-making process. She works closely with NGOs to raise awareness of the opportunities and challenges of the just energy transition. Difficult topic, but yeah, and her professional career, she is the lead analyst of the Lantau Group based in the Bangkok. She provides in-depth analysis of the energy markets in the Asia Pacific and supports clients in their broader energy transition plans and merger acquisition activities. So yeah, we have a right person, and I would like to invite Jitsai to share a short remark on what you are doing and your vision on the ASEAN collaborative approach. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. It's always great to go last because you get to hear everybody's talks, everybody's key points. I'm going to keep it short and brief. It's a long day for everybody, and I appreciate a lot of people are jet lagged. So why should people care about youth? You know, today we talked about a lot of the energy transitions. We talked about green jobs. We talked about opportunities in both economic growth, in both, you know, growth for the like GDP, societies, industries. We talk about all of these parts. But something we don't really talk about in these kind of meetings where we're at a very high level are the people who are affected by the energy transitions, right? Not only just youths, although I am representing a youth group, there are also vulnerable peoples with disabilities, women, people in marginalized communities, rural areas, people who are usually the last people that conferences like this would think about. So it's my job and my pride today to be here on this panel to really remind everybody about those people who are affected. That doesn't take away anything that has already been said today. Everything is super important, and the transition is definitely needed. We need to decarbonize, but we also need to consider how does that affect the people whose voices are least heard. And usually these are the people who are most affected and most difficult to adapt to the effects of climate change and the emissions that are happening from mostly the energy sector. As we all know, it's about 70% of global emissions. So back to the question of why youths, right? So that's more of the human side of it. But on an economic side, it also makes sense, right? For just looking at ASEAN, we talked about, you know, the RE workforce in ASEAN, right? Indonesia coming in at about 600,000, Vietnam coming about 400,000, Thailand, Malaysia coming in afterwards there. Those are potential green jobs that needs to happen for us to decarbonize, for us to transition. Now, looking at the workforce, the youths from the ASEAN Youth Development Index from 2022, the number of people whose age between 15 and 34, so those are high schoolers, people in their first jobs, second jobs, they account for 1/3 of the whole ASEAN population. That's about 200 million people, 200 million young people who are aware of the climate change, who want to help enable the world to continue being prosperous without being able to decouple between economic development, but also emissions. That is a big potential. Those are big numbers that we want to talk about. 200 million youths in Southeast Asia, in the 10 countries. So those are the stakeholders that we need to also think about. You know, we talk about, you know, RE manufacturing, but there are people involved in those processes, and most of them will be below 35. Decision makers may be older, but that's something that we need to consider. So how do we do it without leaving anyone behind, right? That is also the mission of SE for All, Sustainable Energy for All. That for all part is reaching those people. So the just, equitable, and clean energy transition must happen in consideration of this. So what I advocate for is when we make decisions, when we are at these tables, we think about them and we bring their voices into these rooms. We ask them what they want. A lot of people ask me, what do youths want? But everybody in this room knows a few youth. Everybody might have children, might have cousins, might have people they know, they're students perhaps. They also have thoughts, they also have ideas. And in those numbers, you can tell the trend of the demand of energy that is needed. Youths drive demand for energy as well, increasingly, and they're also big supply for the workforce, but for the demand side, they are trend drivers, and they also dictate lifestyle. For example, EV uptake. A lot of the youths, you know, in the range of 20 to 35, they will be buying their first cars, second cars, or those EVs. Is that matching with the country's projection of how much cars needs to be manufactured in domestically? Is the use there? Do people want? Is that how their lifestyles are going? That's why it's so important to have the youth perspectives on that. I will hand over the time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Jitsai, has bringing up an important topic that often underlooked, because energy people is like engineering people and doesn't really understand the importance of it. But she has highlighted it well about how to include the youth, which is our future, and the one who bring up the force for the changes for the better future. So without further ado, now is the discussion session. So I would like to invite our colleagues, the participants in the room. If you have any question, you are our priority. So we want to have a interactive discussion. Please feel free to start. If anyone here have any question? If not, okay, that's typical ASEAN. So I have prepared a question. So first, I see also from the online participants, there is an interesting question on sharing the responsibility of each ASEAN member countries and how to pitch to these member countries who are responsible, and whether we can gather this working group in the same spot in Jakarta to think about that. And I believe Pak Darsono is the perfect person to share a view on that, particularly on because you have shared about the initiative of the Net Zero Hub initiatives in ASEAN, in Indonesia, with so my question is, do you face any challenges? Is it hard to advocate this net zero framework to get people on the board to work together? And another follow-up question, please feel free also to respond it later. Is the access to sustainable finance is limited, and how to access that, because we are talking about the private companies, and what are the roles of these private companies and Net Zero Hub in the just and affordable energy transition? So without further ado, Pak Darsono, I would like to invite your response on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica, for such a great question. I think we all know in Indonesia, particularly, a lot of the companies, even the small companies, realize that we need to solve this climate change issue. Hence, the net zero is something that they are looking forward to. Unfortunately, knowing what you want but you don't know how to do it is another issue. So that's why we at the Chamber of Commerce really looking forward to work with this company, because we realize that there will be a trend where the global buyers of any product in the world will demand traceability on their carbon footprint. Hence, net zero becomes something that a lot of buyers are looking forward to. So I think in that sense, we from the chamber really looking to help companies to go through this transition, because we are aware that suddenly Indonesia cannot just turn into renewable energy, right? I mean, it takes some time to process renewable energy. And I think you mentioned the just energy transition is something that we are looking forward to. The JETP program is ongoing, and hopefully there is a solution coming out from that. Hence, we see that we need to work together with the company. Therefore, we need to build a carbon center of excellence as well, because we need, in order to be neutral, we also need to have carbon credit or carbon offset to be part of the solution. So I think, the challenge is always about the details and the execution, right? Everybody wants to do all these great things, but when it boils down to private sector, it has to make sense financially. It has to make sense business-wise. And more importantly, they are doing it for the right reason. So I think that's what we try to advocate, because a lot of people still have the sense that doing good thing, protecting the environment might not make money. But I think that's what we want to change. The change is because there is a new way of looking into buying product. There's a new way of doing business. Hence, this is where the world is moving. And we don't want to be left behind as a competitor. And I think ASEAN as well. I mean, I'm not talking about Indonesia only, but I think in ASEAN, there are countries, of course, like Singapore already ahead, but there are countries like Laos, Cambodia, and they also are going through this journey. I think the fact is we can work together from a private sector is really something I'm looking forward to for the next few years. I think Laos as the new chair, well, we are happy to assist. And then we can have Malaysia after that and Philippines right after. So I think these next 3 years are very crucial for ASEAN to really see how this transition of not just a renewable energy play, but more importantly, how we can create a low carbon development for the region. So that's my answer to that question. Thank you, Monica.
Thank you, Pak Darsono. So Pak Darsono has to leave at 11, and yeah, we're supposed to end, but it's okay. We can extend a bit our discussion until 11:30 if we have a lot more other questions. Now I would like to invite if you want to respond or have another follow-up questions to Pak Darsono before he is leaving. Okay, yeah, please, Mr. Sumbun.
Yes, my name is Sambun Samsara with Electricity Laos out of Lao PDR. I just wanted to just to add on to your comment in regards to the business sense and commercialized sense, and I think carbon credits and renewable energy credits was something that was brought onto the table into the market to assist project developer. However, due to Lao PDR's huge, I guess, our REs are over 90%. CDM or VM, voluntary credits, is at the moment worthless. I mean, we have a lot of developers who's not able to trade those, number one. Number two, getting these credits are quite difficult because of the criteria due to our fluctuation of renewable energy already. So it really doesn't work in a Lao PDR sense in regards to carbon credits. Now, in regards to renewable energy credits, IREX, EAC, environmental attributes, there's also a issue in regards to cross-border trade. Okay, so REX can be issued in the country where it's developed or generated. However, being traded over the country is not an issue, but it cannot be used to offset the last country that offtakes that power. So for instance, Lao PDR power selling to Singapore is going to be recognized as a Lao PDR REC, not as a Singaporean REC. So until establishment like ours and ASEAN push the RE100 initiatives and also the RE100 companies to change their policy to accept cross-border trade as a REC within that country that's using that power, then I think we will still have some more obstacles in regards to commercial sense in regards to these initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sumbun. So, Pak Darsono, do you want to respond on that before you go?
Thank you for such a great question and comment. I think I totally agree with you. I think this is something that we have to discuss. Of course, I mean, I always see the challenges when we get 10 ASEAN government to talk. I think it's better to have this as a private initiative. So that's why we want to push it through the Business Advisory Council, ASEAN BAC first, because I think the idea is to create to look into this issue, like you mentioned, the cross-border issue, all this thing. I think we all know we want to get there. Right. I mean, countries that have, renewable energy like Laos, country like have nature-based solution in Indonesia. I think it's about collaborating and working together how we can make this initiative economically sense. Right. I think that's very important. I think we mentioned about the just energy transition. I think happy to have a follow-up with you in terms of how we can work together from the ASEAN Business Advisory Council as well as ASEAN Alliance on Carbon Market. And we're not focusing on REC at this time. We're more focusing on voluntary carbon market, but happy to have further discussion.
Thank you, Pak Darsono. Any follow-up comments, response, questions before I let Pak Darsono go? So, Jonathan.
Yeah, thanks. So thanks for this conversation. It's interesting. I've been thinking a lot more in the South Asia region. So I'm from FCDO, the UK government, based in Kathmandu in the Indo-Pacific Regional Department, and working on climate and energy issues there. And we're looking at the extent to which renewable power obligations in the Indian market could be extended to other actors in South Asia, the extent to which an emissions trading scheme could be made regional. So I'm interested in the similar conversation in Southeast Asia. And I guess a question for Mr. Hartono. You talked about this great initiative around the Carbon Alliance. So I just wondered, do you see demand from countries and businesses within the region for credits specifically from within the region, or do you actually perhaps, would there be more demand from businesses and countries outside of the region to get hold of your credits? So in other words, is the alliance going to be more about sharing lessons, learning together, and then selling outside of ASEAN, or do you really see that there's a demand for, within the intra-regional trading in carbon credits that is sort of pushing you to pursue this? Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for the follow-up question. The answer is yes, we can do both, because I think the uniqueness of ASEAN is because you have country like Singapore has been signing a lot of MOU with other countries in terms of buying carbon credit. They're allowing international carbon credit as part of it. They're allowing voluntary carbon market as part of the solution of that country. So I think it really gives a dynamic of the region. Compared to, let's say, I'll give you an example in Africa. Africa have this similar initiative for carbon, initiative. And you can tell all the countries in Africa are actually supplier of credit. So with the dynamic of buy and sell in ASEAN, we can actually start igniting the whole and galvanizing the government needs, meaning that from Singapore. And I also realized that a lot of companies in Southeast Asia are already making net zero commitment as we speak, voluntarily. Right? They're big companies, the unicorn. Some of the mining company. I remember, if I'm not wrong, we have our Indonesian flagship Goto, which is Gojek, is already making that commitment. So a lot of this dynamic is gonna eventually come in the region, as we see this as a something that need to be done, and it's good branding. So a lot of these companies are moving into that, and with this alliance, actually, we can actually house the whole initiative, meaning that you will be happy to learn from each other, and then you can buy from one another. So I think that's the idea. The idea is to look into the region as well as outside, because once we have a common framework, the dynamic of a country like Indonesia, Thailand, and developed country like Singapore and Malaysia, I think it's fair to say that we can convince the Western world that these standards and this framework are valid for us. This is not something that we make up, this is something that we do with proper governance. It is something that we do that we can say that it's a very strong ecosystem that we built. I think there's a lot of, I hate to say this, but this is the reality. If you look at the whole carbon and REC, in particular carbon, the standards are using by the Western standards, right? They always, they're the one who impose and they're doing this thing. I really want to turn the table and make this into our own standards that we strongly believe it makes sense, from a just energy transition. Is also giving the best to the countries in the region. So that's why the whole premises of creating this alliance moving forward.
Thank you, Pak Darsono. Jonathan, do you have any follow-up comments? But yeah, I understand Pak Darsono need to go again. Pak Darsono, thank you very much for the sharing. Maybe one point from me is this alliance has a lot of things to offer and learn from, especially about REC, because ACE is actually facilitating the aspiration from the public utilities about this REC. And we see, at least from ACE, that we need to somehow discuss how we can synchronize it with the carbon credit schemes somehow. So yeah, look forward for follow-up discussion on that and learning points. So yeah, you can
Thank you,
go,
Monica.
yeah.
And just for some of you who have attended this via online or offline, Monica, I have sent you a deck regarding our ASEAN Alliance on Carbon Market. Feel free to share it with anybody in this that attended this panel, and happy to have a follow-up or call
Sure.
people have question about it.
I
And
believe a
thank you
lot
so
of
much.
want to have the follow-up discussion with you. So yeah, we will share it. Thank you for the consent. So thank you, Pak Darsono. You are free can go. So I would like to move to our next panelist. So before that, I want to invite the question from the floor. If you have any, maybe to one of our panelists from Malaysia, Thailand, from Climate Works, and also from C4O and ACE. Yes. Which one first? Maybe from Fiji. Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mikael Mbelena. I'm from the Fiji Islands. I just have a few comments to make. Firstly, I would like to thank the presenters and the panelists for the presentation. Actually, I'm really interested in the work that has been done by the ASEAN in terms of your energy transition, and also looking at the targets that we have till 2025. Yes, I've noted in the presentation, especially in terms of the regional interconnectivity, with your energy supplies. It's a really different situation in the Pacific Island countries, where I think all the member countries in the Pacific, we rely on imports in terms of fuel and even looking at renewable energy. We don't manufacture anything in the region. We rely on importation. And maybe just to share with the forum in terms of the challenges that we face. It's not. There's been a lot of talks on looking at just and inclusive energy transition, but in the region, it's not a simple and easy transition for us. Looking at most of the Pacific Island countries, we still have a very low percentage in terms of electricity access. Even some of the member countries, they still even sitting at 20-30% electricity access because of the geographical locations and looking at the distribution of islands. We have so many small islands. And something that has also been affecting us, in terms of our vulnerability to the impacts of climate change. I think that is one of the biggest challenges that we are facing at the moment. Whilst we try to move ahead with our energy transition, whenever a cyclone or tsunami hit us, we move back maybe by 5 to 10 years. And so we have to start again from square one in terms of trying to provide electricity access to our people. And even for Fiji, for example, we've had a few cyclones, category 5 cyclone, very high intensity. And looking at our infrastructure, we have, within a matter of minutes and hours, the investment that government and even looking at the infrastructure investment has been wiped out in a matter of minutes. So that is the challenges that we are facing in the region, especially for us in the Pacific Island countries. And also in terms of looking at our regulation, how the market is structured. Like in Fiji, we have only we have a monopolistic utility company. It's called the Electricity Fiji Limited. While government is driving towards in terms of our energy transition, but then again the issue of because it's a private company, for them the priority at the moment is what they're going to give back to their shareholders. That is I think the priority for them in terms of the dividend that they need to give back. So with that in mind, even though government is driving for us to increase our renewable energy uptake, but for the utility itself, they'll be looking at the most cost-effective sources to use, whether it's be diesel. If diesel is more economical for them, that will be about that will have to generate more return, so they'll be investing more into diesel rather than renewable. So those are the challenges that we are also facing in terms of transition to renewable energy. And so again, looking at the private sector participation, I am really interested in the presentation that was done in terms of the support that is being provided to the private sector. So I see it like in terms of our transition, it will require that integrated approach where we need to entice private sector participation. We need to provide that, even looking at some sort of innovative financial mechanism that will allow the participation of private sector. So very briefly, I think that is just my comment. And once again, I would like to thank the presenters for the presentation this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. So I would like to invite our panel if you want to respond on that.
Thank you, Mr. How can I address you?
Mika.
Mika, okay. Mr. Mika from Fiji. So I hear a lot of similarities as well. Not all the ASEAN countries, some of the ASEAN countries also suffer from that similar problem. For example, like Indonesia and Philippines and maybe other parts as well that hasn't got the electricity ratio up to the 100%. And maybe I can share you a bit on the context of Indonesia, because Indonesia is also a geographic country and we have a lot of islands to electrify, and we see a lot of challenge and hurdles that you mentioned, especially for the small islands that we have. And then the landscape of the monopolistic electricity structure also similar with Indonesia, where we have only one utility company that governs all of this stuff. So often for the electrifications for the small islands or the remote areas, it's often difficult as well and not as fast as if we have a private competitions. And I think sharing you the latest update of the new initiative from the PLN as the state-owned company in Indonesia, that they, like you said, all of the many of the islands that or rural villages that that Indonesia has is electrified by diesel. And because of the country, from the government, we have this kind of climate targets under the NDC or NZE, and then it should translate to the somehow giving directives for the power sector, in this case utility, to also participate to support the target. So it translates to the PLN as the utility to have a target of achieving renewable energy shares to some point in their mix. And how to do that is first they have this diesel replacement programs where the utility wants to somehow reduce the consumptions for the diesel in these islands, with combining with the renewable energy which is available in that location. So for example, combining with biomass or combining with solar or mini hydro that is in the islands. And how to do that is they put a package, a cluster of a capacity cluster for different small islands, so that it's economically sensible for private investment to come. Because if you are only like converting or investing for one island, it would be too small for the investor to be attracted to. So they have this clustering of different small islands to be a package for converting this diesel to combine with renewable energy. So they also invite private investment for this kind of thing, because if it's only utility, it take long time and they don't have much investment for doing that kind of stuff. So I think sharing you the kind of idea or the lesson learned from some of the countries at ASEAN, I think can be considered for.
Thank you, Mr. Mika. Do you want to respond on that, or other panelists want to share also like lessons learned maybe from Malaysia or Thailand? What I see, like for Thailand, you have this special initiative on the community renewable energy. So whether is it relevant to be shared or yeah.
Sure, Monica. Okay, as you know that my corresponding to my presentation that I have wrapped up about the initiative to conduct the community-based power plant, the renewable power plant, that the objective of the conducting of this kind of power plant, we hope to keep the sustainability to the project. That's why we have to allow the community to set up there to be the small or the community enterprise that in order to gather and collect the renewable energy resources such as the biomass or the biogas and purchase it to the power plant. That we set the criteria that the power plant should buy at least 80% of the fuel from the community. That's why we to make sure that the income and the benefit will back to the community. And for the other scheme that we also have, not the is it our partner that we also have the network. We have installed the renewable energy power generating system in the unidentified area that we have the install for the solar system, a solar PV system in some island in Thailand, and we develop it like the model we call it the pay as you go. It means that you must refill your money and you can use the amount of the electricity by equal to the amount of the money you have paid. This is one we should emphasize, because that to make sure that it is not a free project, but you have to participate either to conduct the sustainability to the your generating system, and as well as to conduct the sustainability to your community or your group or your island, something like that. That's why we hope to share that we offer the affordable, low emission and clean energy to the community. That while in the future that we can apply for more technology and innovation. For example, we can apply for the green hydrogen that can available for the power generation in the remote area. That's all I'm going to share.
Yep, Ms. Jitsai.
Just to add on that a little bit, in terms of discussing about Thailand, I'm from Thailand, so I have a bit of, I do a bit of review and research on like the results from these projects. And what we see from a research end is that a lot of the maintenance is not thought through. So a lot of these distributed renewable energy installations, especially in the rural areas, whether they be islands on the mountains that are far from the grid, even though Thailand is fully electrified, a lot of those installations are not well maintained. And I think that also brings it back to about the RE manufacturing. If you can manufacture local, you have people who are knowledgeable and they can become more technical. So not just manufacturing, but the whole supply chain. Also, after the production of these products, they need to be maintained. And especially if we're coming into more newer technologies, the knowledge sharing, especially outside of like the central areas into the more rural areas or communities and provinces, it's not up to par and it should be improved. So I think to your question of like what can we learn from ASEAN, right? I think that from Thailand's case, that would be something that I think you would agree that needs to be front and center from the start of the budget, from the budget plans, not just about the installation and the products, but also the warranty and the people, the maintenance cost that's needed. And if that can be localized to those communities, for example, training technicians and younger people, especially for solar, it's quite relative to other technologies a bit more easier to understand and maintain. I think that's a low-hanging fruit that can be done and can be learned from the Thailand case. Thank you.
Thank you, Jitsai. Indeed, solar is like the perfect solution maybe for the small island decentralized system. Actually, I'm hoping someone from Philippines to also respond to the nature threats with the cyclone and everything. But yeah, I would like to invite more questions. So I see from EDL, yeah, Mr. Can you introduce yourself? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Sukhito Hongwantong. I'm from EDL, Electricity Development. I'm work for power planning in my department. And I have about 3 questions for the presentation from Mr. Dr. Vitawat, Ministry of the Energy of Thailand. And the first one is zero CO2 2065 to 2070. Which most of power plant or renewable energy do you plan to replace your existing like gas and coal power now? Is the first one. And the second one, for your increase renewable energy proportion by renewable energy cost reduction by energy storage. Could you explain about the energy storage technology? What type of technology do you prefer? And the last one is to become Asian Energy Commercial Center. Yeah. Do you have any plan to upgrade, or do you consider to the new interconnection cross border with Laos? Now we have six cross border now, and 115 kV is a limit for the power flow. Now you have maybe many power plant in Laos, but not interconnection like Hong Sa lignite, and you have 2000 and then 230 kV, right? Yeah, and the second one is Mekong River, and the last one maybe in the southern Sepian Sinamnoi. So in Laos we have the problem in the renewable energy in the rainy season. So we have to spin out for the energy for the water. So if you consider to consider for more interconnection for the cross border, not cross border but interconnection. For three point, this one is maybe you have more RE for your country. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Yawatira. Please. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, our colleague from Lao PDR. Okay, for the first question that you asked me about the in order to achieve for the net zero target by year 2065, from our prediction that we should ramp up the use of renewable energy for all sectors. The approximate number is must be higher than 80%. And accordingly, we can achieve our target in both of the carbon neutrality and then the zero emission. That's why we should try to put the great effort in order to promote the use of renewable energy in all sectors. And for the second question that you asked about the energy storage system in order to contribute our target for the carbon neutrality and to increase the use of renewable energy. About the energy storage system that we not only for the battery energy storage system, but we also consider for the other affordable and possibility to develop the other kind of the energy storage system, such as the pump storage and other kind of the innovative energy storage in the future. We have to learn from the developed country and who are the leaders in the development of the energy storage system, because that recently that the cost of the energy storage system is still high. Therefore, that we should study by ourselves that how to reduce the cost for the energy storage system, which can contribute the use of the renewable energy, especially for the VRE. And for the last question that you asked about the possibility to expand the cross-border scheme for the power trading. Unfortunately, I do apologize that because I come from the renewable energy promotion division, that therefore I not have the enough clue about the plan to expand the transmission line in among the ASEAN member states. But I remember that we obtained some assistance from the dialogue partner to study for the possibility to install the extra voltage transmission line. We call it at the time we call it transmission highway, that we can convey a great deal of the electricity from the border of Thailand into the neighboring country. This one, I think we should. I mean that in my department we will work closely with ICAT and the other working group to develop the grid system in the ASEAN power grid or the hub working group in the ASEAN. Okay, I think that this from my opinion and my response for the delegate from Lao PDR. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to invite our other panelists, maybe from Malaysia, to share a bit more about the plan, because I know you are asking Thailand because it's the closest, but again, Thailand also bordering with Malaysia. Maybe you have any insights on the planning from Malaysia side, especially with the recently launched NETR about the power interconnection?
Yeah, definitely. As I mentioned just now that under the NETR, we call it NETR, National Energy Transition Roadmap. We have to collaborate with our ASEAN country to be linked together, so that we can increase our RE share in Malaysia, and also to share our RE, to export our RE to the neighboring country like Singapore. So currently, well, with Thailand, we have single line to the Thailand, which is a HVDC line, 300 megawatt. So it's very old line. It's not around the 1980, something like that. So, and TNB, our utility, is in discussion with IGAT to explore the option to increase the capacity, to upgrade the line, so that we can export or import more renewable energy through the nation. And we are also with the discussion with Singapore on our southern part of our region to connect to, and as we know that Singapore require about 4 gig of renewable from their neighboring countries, so maybe Malaysia could be part of it. Yeah. And then well, I think since we have lifted the ban for RE, so I think with our transition, I think we can increase our renewable share and achieve our target. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Ifwan. Okay, Jonathan, please feel free.
Thanks. So, yeah, I could also talk all day about cross-border electricity trade, but I'm just thinking, because this is about supply chains, I'll ask a question about that side of things, and particularly for Arena, but also for any people here who want to comment. I'm interested in what is the current state of play in terms of regional collaboration around developing these supply chains for the manufacturing of renewable technologies. Is there some sort of planning and collaboration around taking advantage of the different comparative advantages in terms of access to critical minerals, in terms of manufacturing expertise, or is that just a sort of an idea at the moment? Is there actually, because I think the transmission infrastructure is one barrier to greater renewable energy share in the region and greater energy security. But I think before too long, all countries in the region need to diversify. It can't just be hydro; it needs to be a mix of hydro, wind, solar, and part of that I think is going to require more manufacturing, PV cells, equipment. It's going to require more electric vehicles that can eventually also feed back into the grid, vehicle to grid as a part of the storage. It's going to require more battery technology, and I worry slightly that we focus on the near-term goal of agreement on cross-border transmission, and perhaps not so much on that diversification and the manufacturing. So what's the state of play on collaboration, and what are people's plans or thoughts about how as a region you would collaborate more to take that side of things forward?
Thank you, Jonathan. Good question, in difficult answer, but I can confirm one from, first of all, it's still an idea of having this collaborative approach on the manufacturing facility and supply chain, according to my knowledge, at least within the discussion with Dr. Yuwatira and other member states from Malaysia and others. But in terms of battery/EV, I don't know if you aware of that, but on the last ASEAN summit, the leaders of the 10 ASEAN member states have this joint declaration on the EV ecosystem, which I believe battery and critical minerals for the battery is part of that. So yes, we have in terms of battery, but not so much on the solar PV. So I would like to invite maybe from our panel Maybe Shun? Yeah, please.
Thank you. So, first of all, that's a really good question. What are we going to do with the, like collective approach? So, Climate Works Foundation and also SE for All and two more partners, we actually did a study with McKinsey on specifically on that topic. What we actually find is even though country level initiatives are happening, for example, China, Indonesia, China and other different regions, what is ASEAN collectively doing? Because one, ASEAN is always very cost driven, like everywhere else, but in ASEAN it's always larger comparison because China and India really big manufacturing hubs are so big. What's the point of bringing it over here? So this is one question, but we also have to recognize ASEAN market for the manufacturing actually is not $1 million market, it's hundreds of billions of dollars market if we follow long-term approach. In terms of like specifically for the study that we did, we look at solar PV cells, batteries, and EV. So this is where things get interesting. Some of the ASEAN members are really good for manufacturing, but also still some of the provinces within ASEAN countries are still interested in assembling because this is where they like to drive up job creation and also their motivation for the renewable energy. So for example, I'm not sure if I should say out the names yet, but coming COP, a few ASEAN countries are actually announcing subnational level renewable energy manufacturing assembling facility for the regional regional manufacturing and assembling. So this is a partnership. And the other part is we already have some of the countries within ASEAN as cost competitive. Sometimes in our study, we do not look at it as China as a competitor. We actually look at like what could complement from what we export and what we manufacture locally. So Vietnam, Philippines, just to throw a name for a few, is actually very cost competitive, almost as close to what China actually can produce. So we do have an opportunity. We just have to seize it. So to our knowledge, what we are ask is we want more regional collaboration. So it's not a specific country hub, it is a regional hub. So linking to what Jose also actually said, like speaking of job creation. So this is a really good motivation because some of the assembling facility might not actually might able be even to employ people with disabilities or like people without formal education, etc. So manufacturing assembling is actually big. One of the really good example we look at it within ASEAN is actually Malaysia within ASEAN. There are good targets, there are good policy, and also there are good incentives. So we don't have to copy way outside of the region. There are also internal regions. So I'll put a stop there. Over to you, Monica.
Yeah, Jitsai, please.
Add on to that, I think it's a very good point you were mentioning. I also want to think about the, when we talk about workforce, there's people in the manufacturing, but then there's also, very high potential, highly educated people in ASEAN who are experiencing brain drain and are living abroad, working, for better pay. But a lot of them do have the drive to develop ASEAN, to make it more sustainable, to make it a regional leader in the world. So I think that if the manufacturing does happen, it does start in Southeast Asia a lot more, then there will be people who will return, and also younger generations who are, the top of the top. And then they want to stay and want to help to create this, the greening of the workforce. So I think that's something to keep in mind, both from like a manufacturing in the masses, but also like the brightest minds that are in the region to stay in the region. I think that is also something to consider in terms of technology development as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Jitsai. And I see a hand raised by my colleague Hanzang.
Yeah, thank you. I think in regards of the solar supply chains, I also involved in a recent study led by ERREA. I believe the report will be coming up soon. And the report is looking at solar supply chains from upstream to downstream within these Asian countries and NER. And what we found out is that very in line with what Sean has mentioned, that Malaysia, Thai, and Indonesia are more advanced and in regards to the resource, the minerals that are available within Asian countries. And also, if we're looking at Myanmar itself, we also have some of minerals, rare earths, copper, silver. So we are looking at the potential minerals, resources availability in Asian countries. And within the Asian countries, the Thailand, Malaysia is a bit more advanced, that there are manufacturing facilities already, that some are like totally run by the Thai companies and some are in partner with China. So it's not only about the manufacturing itself, but the study would focus on like the recycling, what would be the afterwards, like 20 years of lifetime of solar panels. And it is also a critical issues that how do we manage the waste of these solar panels, batteries. So yeah, I think that is a very interesting point when we talk about energy transitions and energy security for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Hanzang. Yeah, Tyler, please.
Thanks, Monica, and thanks to the panelists. Tyler Harlan from Loyola Marymount University and the University of Melbourne. Kind of building on some of these comments and discussion we've just been having. I research low carbon transition in China and China's Green Belt and Road Initiative, and China's been brought up a few times, and I'm wondering in that context, the extent to which for finance, ASEAN countries are able to cooperate and rely on one another for financing a renewable energy supply chain. And to what extent other countries outside of ASEAN, potentially China, might have a role to play, noting that, of course, China has a stake in nickel mining and solar PV manufacturing in Vietnam and so forth. So basically the role of China. Thanks.
Thank you, Tyler. Actually, we discussed it in our study session about the regional approach, discussing about the potential of ASEAN member states' own financing capability. We pointed out that maybe Singapore and Brunei with better wealth can help the rest of member countries in investing in the renewable energy industry in other member countries. But responding to China, I don't know if our panel want to say something or share from your bilateral cooperation, maybe from Malaysia and Thailand with China, or yeah.
So I'm not sure about China, but with our transition roadmap, the investment is about 1.2 trillion ringgit. We are forecasting that figure, whereby for RE alone it's about 260 billion. So that's a huge number that we need to find somebody to invest on the part. And to have this target to be achieved, that's why we are going forward for exporting our RE, so that we can gain something for it, because we need to upgrade our grid, and of course we need to have a battery for renewable. So that's the cost that we need to. We cannot burden all the costs to the Malaysian consumer. So that's why we need a collaborative with our ASEAN country, such as Singapore, which is more wealthier country, so that we can together we can achieve our target. So that's how we plan to do it.
Thank you. Maybe inviting for other panel who want to comment on that. Yeah, Shun.
There was a China ASEAN Clean Energy Week last month, and then I actually witnessed, because we were actually talking about the manufacturing, and what we noticed was the engagement between the Chinese stakeholders, mostly private sector and financiers, to the country's representative and also non-state actors. One thing that we noticed, really good model, is from China's side, is ready to invest, observing the conditions, they do have a good checklist. What is a trade policy like? What is a country-specific collaboration? And if something is needed, they also go back to their government and like trying to strike a deal. So this is what I have seen from like witness. I'll say I'm not in the discussion rooms when it comes to details, but this is the like a really strong incentive to finance or invest in the Southeast Asian nation from the China part. So from non-government point of view, what I also witness is within ASEAN, of course, Singapore is one. Sometimes even people look at Malaysia for like financing investing body because of the development of the size of economy. Not exactly in the renewable energy manufacturing sector, but even for Thailand, IGET International is already looking. So like I come from Myanmar. Myanmar specifically look at Vietnam as an investor. So all of that combined, I believe that there is a lot of conversation within ASEAN has not talked about bilaterally and also ASEAN as a whole on who's going to invest. Monica actually said about like, we see opportunities. After the regional approach is done, when I actually notice in the each country, there are more and more opportunities that we actually haven't talked about, but something that is lacking, or maybe in my own opinion, is what is a mechanism, collaborative approach. One is like what portion actually are we tapping into Chinese financing, what has come from regionally. Well, we heard from Malaysia themselves, like they actually don't want to rely only to the Malaysian consumer. So I know I'm answering the question with a question, but like this is a conversation we have to make it more. Over.
Thank you, Tyler. Any response to that or okay? Thank you. Yeah, interesting. Again, whenever we have this kind of discussion, the discussion become heated towards the end, or even like we already overshoot the time. Just one last round of question if you have any. If not, I would like to invite our each panelist to like share your concluding remarks on what you have reflected and what you gain on, or what's your aspiration on this interconnection and also interconnection on the economy, I would say, with the manufacturing and economy. Thank you. Maybe start with Jitsai first.
Okay, thank you. Short and sweet. I want everybody to look at youths as actors, as agents of change, and not as just receivers of policy decisions. Just be inclusive. Think about you want your voices heard, and it doesn't matter how old or how young you are. Everybody has opinions and everybody has thoughts. Now that might seem a bit counterintuitive, like we can't just spend all day just going into a room and chatting about what people want. But there's ways to going through surveys, having stakeholder engagement meetings that are more inclusive and open. I think as states, it's important to hear what the people want. And policies are made to serve the people. Like you said, you can't just rely on the consumers, force it upon them, but then realize that that's not what they want. So I think that's something important to keep in mind, and that's part of leaving no one behind and part of SE for All's mission. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe next, Dr. Yuwatira.
Thank you, Monica. From my opinion, I think that now that the ASEAN Renewable Energy Subsector Network is preparing the ASEAN IE long-term roadmap, we hope to become cleaner and greener circumstance in the future. That I think that our ASEAN member states should put the better effort in order to achieve our target corresponding to the net zero emission and the carbon neutrality. I think we should consider about it, not only for the conventional RE, but also we should focus on the future innovation which can assist us to achieve our target, such as the new energy, such like the hydrogen and the ammonia and other kind of the advanced bioenergy. Because that in ASEAN member state, I think we should have a large amount of the palm oil product. Therefore, we should consider about the methodology to use it for the other kind of the consumption, because that now we know we recognize that about the upcoming of the electric vehicle will be affect to the decreasing in the utilization of the biofuel. Therefore, we should consider for the alternative way, maybe perhaps to be the other innovation that the sustainable aviation fuel or the other innovation which can support the use of the palm oil or the other bioenergy for the possible consumption. Okay, that's also my opinion. Thank you, Monica.
Thank you, Dr. Yuwatira. He has bring up the three categories, like we have discussed about interconnection, the manufacturing cooperation, and the third one on the bioenergy with the biofuel and also sustainable aviation fuel. Really good point. And I would like to invite next Shun.
Thank you. I'm going to just keep it short and brief. So specifically for this supply chain, hundreds of billions of markets within ASEAN is actually for ourselves to grab. So this is actually really important because this is where we drive GDP within ASEAN. We also create more jobs within ASEAN and trying to come up with avoided emission, because all of the ASEAN nations actually are committed to avoided emission for respective sector. So by doing that, for our power grid, for regional energy approach, this is also where we actually trying to promote more collaboration between government and also create the center of gravity for the manufacturing. So there are a lot more discussions need to be done, but still, like, knowing ASEAN is a very cost competitive, cost driven region. So I also want to make sure that we capture the specific part. $1 billion market is us or somebody else. Over.
Thank you, Shun. Last but not least, Mr. Ifwan from Malaysia.
Yeah, as Malaysia target to be the hub for RE, so we are very welcome for RE manufacturing company to come to Malaysia to invest and to set up as what we already have huge some number of manufacturing company of solar PV panel. So I think with the recent roadmap, I think we foresee that the opportunity investment of the FDI will growth in RE sector. So as we embark in this journey, I think we are not only securing the sustainable energy within our nation, within Malaysia, but actually we are contributing to the ASEAN targets. So because the energy that we use, we will shape the energy landscape today and for tomorrow and for our future. So we have to paving a cleaner, greener, and sustainable future. Thank you.
Thank you again. Thank you very much for your time and for participants in the floor here in the same room, for your interest and also active participation. Really appreciate that. Again, we already overshoot like 45 minutes. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Great discussion. We hope we can materialize it into a concrete collaboration, facilitating the cooperation, interconnectivity between the member states on different sector. Thank you again, and yeah, wish you to see you again in the next webinar or workshop. Thank you.